This guy, Flash Thompson, he probably deserved what happened. But just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
There's a certain kind of man that almost everybody depends on. The reliable one, the calm one, the one who figures things out, the one who answers the phone, the one who stays late, the one who carries more than he says he does. And, most of the time, nobody notices how much pressure he's actually under, because he doesn't talk about it. He laughs it off, keeps moving, handles it, pushes through it, even when he's exhausted, especially when he's exhausted. A lot of men grow up believing that being needed is the same thing as being valued. So we become useful. Useful at work, useful in relationships, useful to friends, useful to family. And after enough years of living like that, you stop asking yourself a dangerous question. What happens if I can't carry all of this anymore? That's why so many men connect with Spider-Man. Not because he's powerful, but because underneath the suit, Peter Parker is just a guy trying to hold everything together while his own life slowly falls apart in the background. And honestly, that's a lot of men. The older I get, the more I realize something. Spider-Man taught a lot of us responsibility, but he never taught us balance. A lot of boys are praised for what they do long before they're appreciated for who they are. You get rewarded for being helpful, strong, reliable, easy to depend on. And over time, that slowly shapes your identity. You become the responsible one. At first, it feels good. People trust you, need you, respect you. But there's a darker side to it too, because eventually you stop believing people value you and start believing they value what you can provide for them. That changes the way you move through life. You stop resting because rest feels lazy. You stop opening up because emotions feel inconvenient. You stop asking for help because you don't want to become a burden. You become the person everybody leans on, while quietly having nobody to lean on yourself. That's Peter Parker. Every version of him, whether it's Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man, or Spider-Man No Way Home, Peter is constantly sacrificing pieces of himself, trying to take care of everyone else. His relationships suffer, his mental health suffers, his sleep suffers, his future suffers. But he keeps going because guilt drives him more than self-worth does. And a lot of men live exactly like that, not because they want to, because somewhere along the line they internalize this belief. If I stop performing, I stop mattering. That mindset will destroy you slowly. One thing Spider-Man captures perfectly is the fear of letting people down. Peter carries responsibility like it's life or death, because to him, it is. Every mistake feels personal. Every failure feels heavy. Every person he can't save stays with him. And a lot of men carry life the same way. Emotionally, you feel responsible for everyone around you. If your relationship struggles, you blame yourself. If your family is stressed, you blame yourself. If someone you care about is hurting, you immediately ask yourself what you should have done differently. You start carrying emotional responsibility for things that were never fully yours to carry alone. That pressure adds up. And most men never say anything about it because they think struggling means they're failing. So instead, they suffer quietly. That's why burnout sneaks up on so many men, not because we're weak, because we normalize carrying impossible amounts of pressure without ever stopping to acknowledge the damage it's doing to us. One of the most powerful Spider-Man scenes ever is the ferry scene in Spider-Man Homecoming. The entire ship is splitting apart, and Peter desperately throws himself into the middle of it, trying to hold everything together alone. webs stretching, body shaking, completely overwhelmed. But he still refuses to let go. And what makes that scene so powerful isn't the action, it's the desperation. You can feel how terrified he is of failing. That scene hits differently when you've lived like that emotionally, because some men spend their entire lives standing in the middle of collapsing situations, trying to hold together things that are bigger than them. Trying to save failing relationships alone, trying to carry financial pressure alone, trying to hold families together emotionally while suppressing their own stress. Trying to stay strong for everyone else while quietly falling apart themselves. And even when they're drowning, they still feel guilty for struggling. That's the dangerous part. A lot of men don't feel allowed to break down until after they've completely emptied themselves trying to save everybody else. And by then, sometimes there's barely anything left of them emotionally. The mask is another reason Spider-Man resonates with men so deeply. Because most men wear one too. Not physically, emotionally. Peter Parker hides almost everything he feels: fear, loneliness, grief, anger, exhaustion. He hides it behind humor. And honestly, a lot of men do the same thing. Some of the funniest guys you know are carrying unbelievable amounts of pain. Some of the most dependable men are emotionally exhausted. Some of the men constantly checking on everybody else secretly wish somebody would check on them too. But they've spent so many years pretending they're okay that eventually the mask becomes automatic. You learn how to say, "I'm good," even when you're not. You learn how to joke your way through pain. You learn how to go to work emotionally numb. You learn how to keep functioning while disconnected from yourself. And after enough time passes, people stop asking if you're okay because you've become too convincing. That's one of the loneliest parts of being the dependable one. Everybody sees your strength. Very few people see the cost of it. Responsibility itself isn't unhealthy. That's important to say. The world genuinely needs dependable men. Children need dependable fathers. Families need dependable men. Communities need dependable men. There's honor in sacrifice. There's honor in protecting people. There's honor in continuing to show up even when life is difficult. A responsibility without balance eventually becomes self-destruction. That's the part a lot of men were never taught. We were taught how to endure, not how to recover. We were taught how to suppress, not how to process. We were taught how to provide, not how to emotionally survive. So a lot of men become trapped in this cycle where their entire self-worth depends on how much pain they can tolerate without collapsing. And people praise it too. They call you hardworking, strong, reliable. Meanwhile, internally, you're exhausted, disconnected, burned out. You haven't felt like yourself in years. But because you're still functioning, nobody realizes how much you're actually struggling, including you. I think a lot of men become obsessed with responsibility because deep down, they're terrified of being replaceable. That's something I've had to confront in myself too. There were periods in my life where I genuinely felt like the only thing giving me value was what I could do for other people, how much I could tolerate, how much I could carry emotionally without breaking, how useful I could be. And when you live like that long enough, you stop seeing your own pain as something worthy of attention. You minimize it. You tell yourself, just keep moving, handle it. Other people need me. I'll deal with it later. But later never comes, so the stress builds, the grief builds, the exhaustion builds, the emotional isolation builds. Until one day you wake up and realize you don't even recognize yourself anymore. You're surviving, functioning, performing, but you don't actually feel alive. I think that's why emotional numbness is becoming so common in men. A lot of us spend years disconnecting from ourselves in order to keep carrying responsibilities we thought defined our worth. I don't think the answer is becoming irresponsible. I don't think the lesson is stop caring. That's not realistic. And honestly, most good men wouldn't want to live like that anyway. The lesson is balance, because even Spider-Man couldn't hold the entire ship together forever, and neither can we. At some point, you have to realize your value as a man is not dependent on constant suffering. You do not have to destroy yourself to deserve love. You do not have to bleed for everyone else to have worth. You do not have to carry every problem alone to be strong. Maybe real strength is understanding your limits before life forces them onto you. Maybe real strength is learning how to rest without guilt. Maybe real strength is letting yourself be human too. Not just useful, human. A lot of men were taught how to survive, how to endure, how to stay composed, how to carry pressure silently, how to keep moving no matter how exhausted they are. But very few of us were taught how to live without losing ourselves in the process. That's why Spider-Man resonates with so many men, because underneath the powers, underneath the responsibility, he's just a man trying to carry more than one person was ever meant to carry alone. And men like us understand exactly what that feels like.